Welcome back. Now, Altron CEO Werner Kapp has described the technology firm's annual results as strong and says the numbers are as a result of a disciplined execution of the group's strategy despite heightened economic and political uncertainty. Werner joins us now for more on that performance. Thank you so much for your time, Werner. Just highlight the level of growth that Altron saw in this reporting period.
Hi, Zanati. Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, we're really exceptionally pleased with this set of results. I think we've spent the last sort of 2 years really making sure that we reposition the group for growth. And we really do that by, combining what we think is quite a unique set of technology assets to be able to partner with our customers on their digital transformation journey. Key focus for us is investing in our platform businesses, and that's been a strong driver of growth. So I think the execution of that has led to us delivering 50% operating profit growth, 3% revenue growth in our continuing operations, and about 12% revenue growth in those platform businesses off a relatively high base.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because obviously you are still operating in a tough economic environment, would you say that the business shrugged off this tough and uncertain economic environment during this period?
I think the businesses are impacted in different ways. Our IT services business, which has lower annuity business, is a little bit more exposed to uncertainty and cyclical buying behavior. I think where we've managed to shrug this off is really in the performance of that platform segment. Those are businesses that have very high annuities. If you're looking across that segment, probably an average of about 90% annuity business. It's got unit economics, and it kind of gets these flywheel effects going. So I think it's a proactive investment in those businesses that have really allowed us to be able to, to use your words, kind of shrug off a sluggish market.
Yeah, I mean, just give us insight on the room that you've had on margin expansion and really your runway for that going forward.
Yeah, we've managed to expand operating profit margins from 5 to 10% over a 3-year period, and I think we've expanded our gross margins by about 7 percentage points during that same period, and that's really been driven by that increase in annuity business. Annuity business is now about 63% of our overall business, so you're really starting to see that impact come through of that higher margin business. If you look at our medium-term guidance, we're still targeting to achieve in the medium term at least 19% operating profit margin in our platform businesses and at least 7% operating margin percentage in our IT services business.
Let's dig into Ultron Document Solutions. Of course, we know that this business is no longer discontinued. In what phase of recovery is that business in?
I think we're still in the early days. It's obviously quite challenging for a business to come out of a situation where we were looking to dispose of the business. We made that decision because we believed it would be in the right interest of shareholders. We appointed a new leadership team, and I think they've done an outstanding job firstly, a fairly low growth market. I think they've done a fantastic job in terms of restoring staff morale. They've restored the business to profitability. We've seen a turnaround in the numbers. They delivered 85 million rand EBITDA in FY 2025. But I think we're still fairly early in that journey. The big focus for us now is obviously to continue that improvement. And most importantly, you've got to be able to make sure that you're relevant and winning in the market, and that'll continue to be our focus going forward.
And talking about relevance, of course, technology is a key focus for economies all over the world. And I'm just wondering, just with the trends that you are seeing right now, what trends are you capitalizing on it to make sure that the business is resilient and also helping customers also weather the storm of the uncertain economic environment?
I would say 2 focus areas for us. I mean, one is to expand this platform ecosystem that we've currently got. For example, really expanding Netstar from just being sort of a traditional stolen vehicle recovery business to servicing enterprise customers. We launched this global fleet bureau, which is an AI-driven fleet bureau that proactively manages driver behavior. In our fintech business, we've seen the same thing where we're really focusing on this, financial inclusion, but in small and medium enterprises. I think the opportunity, of course, for Altron and for South African businesses are really to leverage data for growth. AI gives us an opportunity to really, monetize that. Just to give you an example, if you take driver data in South Africa. We've got about 1 million cars that Netstar monitors. If you take healthcare-led data, you can really use that information. You can partner with insurers, you can partner with retail pharmaceutical companies, and turn that data into actionable insights that really helps to drive the expansion of those businesses. And I think that's I think that's a big opportunity for us, and I think it's a big opportunity for South Africa as a country, and for our customers.
Yeah, and talking about expansion, there's also a focus on investment. So paint a picture of the major capital expenditure focuses in the short to medium term.
We're quite fortunate. We've worked quite hard to have a very healthy balance sheet. About 90% of our capex is actually in growth capex, and we really look at that through three lenses. Firstly, reinvesting in the organic part of our business. Again, those platforms that I keep on mentioning it. Secondly, also investing in AI, investing in that data that drives that opportunity for us. And then, of course, lastly, if we think there's opportunities for growth by deploying capital into acquisitions, be that sort of bolt-on acquisitions to bolster the capabilities of our businesses, or geographic expansion, those opportunities that we'll look at. Our capital allocation, is definitely weighted quite heavily towards that platform segment. But those are kind of the three areas that we would be looking at.
And just lastly, as we wrap up the conversation, Werner, just characterize your outlook for the short term, particularly in this current annual period that you are in.
Look, unfortunately, in terms of the short term, JSE regulations means that, if you're looking at numbers in this or the next year, then, that essentially becomes a profit forecast, which, is our policy not to do. But, when we unveiled this strategy about 2 years ago, we were quite clear about those medium-term targets that I mentioned earlier around our operating profit margins in the platform and the IT services business. And we absolutely remain committed to achieving those targets in the medium term.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and your insights on the numbers that we saw coming out of Altron. Werner, that was Werner Kapp, CEO of Altron.